Hello, hello. Welcome aboard. And wow, it's Monday again already. So welcome aboard for Virtual Collage Jam for December 2nd. It's already December, guys. Can you believe it? I know that I can't. So yeah, nice to have you along. Looking forward to doing a little collaging with you. Sorry, the voice is a little raw. I was this past weekend, I was teaching a collage, sort of a painting and collage. We did mostly, well, all painting on the first day, and collage and paint on the second day in abstract expressionism at Nielsen, I think, at Nielsen Park Creative Center, and that was. I think we had 13 artists, and it was really awesome. They were really cooking. We were painting really big, and then we went looking for crops, and we did some collaging based on some of our really expressive paintings. So it was awesome. But I am a little bit uh, spacey because I'm tired. I'm not used to teaching in person. I don't do it so much anymore. So being on my feet all day for 2 days in a row, um, yeah, I'm happy to be sitting down. Let's just put it that way. Hey Val, welcome aboard. Welcome back. Nice to see you. See, right? Yeah, but nice to have you along. And hey Kathleen, awesome. Thanks for joining us. Um, yeah, it was really fun to be back at Nielsen for a change. Um, I think I taught one thing there in person in the spring, and I think just a workshop, and this is a workshop, and I'll be teaching something abstract landscape in collage and mixed media this winter, but that'll be online. So if that's something of interest, please feel free to join me. I think it's January 23rd it starts, but check the Nielsen website. And hey, Lisa, yay, welcome aboard. Nice to have some of the awesome regulars along. And I don't know whether I was mentioning the last time or not, but I was going to have a photographer and videographer here at my studio, which was a terrifying thought, a couple of weeks ago, and then they had to reschedule, and I was like, thank goodness, because but I did kill myself to make the studio somewhat more presentable, and it's like it was so overdue. So I can actually find things again, which is so great. I really hadn't done any sort of serious studio tidy since before COVID, because when COVID happened, and Kim and I were both scrambling to figure out how to teach online and what were we going to teach, and then what happened is, like, we taught all these courses, and because I can't wander around the classroom looking at what people are doing when we're online, right? I would work on the same project as my students were, and so I had all these either partly finished or finished but maybe not that great exercises. So I went through and saved a few and ditched a bunch, and found under all my pieces there was this thing it was so fascinating. It's called a table. And it's something I hadn't seen for so long. I thought it was just like myth, that such things existed. So Lindsay, hey Lindsay, awesome. Welcome aboard. That's so cool that you're here. I love that. Hey Jane. Awesome. How are you, Jane? You're hardly late at all. I'm just like babbling in my intro, 5 minutes. No, nothing. Yeah. Oh, yes. I wasn't sure, Lindsay, whether that was your first or not, but yeah, welcome aboard. It's going to be awesome. Lisa's saying, I have one of those. Yeah, yeah. Studio wise, I'm sure you're referring to. Yeah, it's crazy. So, so they're coming on Wednesday. So in the interim time, it got tidy and then it's gotten a little messy, but so much easier to manage. So I'm gonna do a little over the next day or so, get it back to photographic presentational aspect. Um, that's not a sentence, but you know, I think you know what I meant. And somehow I missed Philippa's comment. So Philippa says, "Hi, all. I'm here, but maybe working in the other room or just lounging." So, oh, so you commented before I even started. That's why, Philippa. So it's right at the top. So welcome, belated welcome to you too, Philippa. That's awesome. Um, so we have one more collage jam next week, next Monday, and then we're breaking for the holidays. And so I thought I often try to pick sort of relatively upbeat or options, but sometimes it's good to tackle something meatier. So that's why I thought I'd throw climate crisis in. Um, as always, our prompts are optional. So if it's something you would really rather not grapple with, I totally get it. Sometimes we need to come to our art making practice to get away from that stuff. So I get that. I was thinking that I might try. I'm not even sure. I just printed some things like because I got up late this morning after my weekend workshop and I just printed off a few things. So I don't have a master plan. I'm just going to start handling things and see what comes. But I'll probably address both aspects. I like to sort of have a hopeful aspect as well. So, like what can we do to fix the problem? So I'll probably spin off of the visual I made for the YouTube thumbnail for this because I found a picture of a refinery, like a royalty-free shot, and in Photoshop I just added a bunch of red to it, so it had more drama, and then I also found some like really green growing things, right? I can't fathom why we have all these other crises in the world, but no one treats, or so few people, so few of our so-called leaders treat the climate crisis as a crisis, right? And it's like you won't get to have your wars, you won't get to have your capitalism, you won't get to have your anything if we can't live on the planet and if we kill ourselves and everyone else on it. So like if it were me, and it's not me because that's probably just as well leading, but I would be like every country should have a mandatory period for all young people to madly plant trees in their country, right? You have a year-long service of planting trees because that is this probably the single biggest thing we could do is trees are the lungs of the planet, and it'd be awesome to. I think there's one African country, and I'm forgetting which, but they do something like that. They planted like a huge number of trees, but it's like one nation working in isolation while everyone else is just blithely ignoring it is not going to solve the problem. But yeah, so anyway, I'm going to stop there because I could keep going, and I think I'll just switch to. I'll keep going, but in collage rather than verbally. So, hi, Mika, or Mika, no, Mia, sorry. I also have a student friend named Mika, so forgive me. Mia, yeah, she says, hi, Kat and everyone, Mia here. Not sure how long I can stay today as I'm feeling under the weather. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mia. Yeah, I totally get that. So join us for as long as it feels okay, and feel free to duck out whenever, right? Yeah. Bit under the weather, no pun intended. We got more than 20 centimeters of snow so far. Wow, where are you, Mia? I know you're not in the GTA, but yeah, Kim said I hope sent me a text. I was out somewhere running errands late last week, and she said, "I hope your workshop isn't going to be affected by this huge snowstorm coming through." Um, and yeah, I think north of us, like I think sort of Berry Way and higher up, they got a lot of snow. But yeah, we got off very lightly, like no snow here. So um, when I was driving to the workshop on Sunday, I was passed by a car that had all kinds of snow on it, so they were coming from further north. So yeah, I'm sure it's in our future, but maybe a little less. Maybe we have a day or two or a week or two before it actually hits us. Um, yeah. So Philip says trees are very important, but grasslands are equally important for a lot of breeding birds. Absolutely, like basically natural habitat, right? Yeah, for sure, for sure. Val says we have a lot of snow too. It's beautiful here. Are you at your cottage, Val, or are you just because where are you in the GTA? Did we get snow in the northern end of GTA? Wow, yeah. And Philippa says breeding, and that's actually what I read. I didn't even notice a typo. I do that all the time. Like when I'm typing up emails, I scan it and I don't see the typos because I know what I meant, and then it's like spell check either catches it or I see it after I've sent it. It's so funny. Okay, Val says we're living in Halbert now. Oh, okay, I didn't know that, Val. Yeah, so yeah, it would be beautiful up there. And yeah, so wow, yeah. So you've seen our future. All right, so I'm going to switch to my overhead camera and get busy, and you guys do feel free to collage on this theme. Let us know in the comments whether you're going to go with this theme or something else, or whether you're, and what if you have any ideas, any plans, unlike me. Well, I sort of have a nebulous little kernel of a plan, but what aspects are you thinking of addressing, or are you just going to go by feel? Let's see how it goes. And yeah, all right, so we're about to go black for temporarily while I switch the camera to overhead, but we'll be back in a moment. Just got to get it set up in the overhead. No sense making you seasick with the camera movements until it's sort of reasonably stabilized. All right. Now we're back. Just make sure it's sort of on my work area. All right. Get some of this detritus out of the way. So this is that image that I was talking about. This is apparently an AI generated image, which is hard to believe, but there you go. And I thought just a close up of fire, some seedlings. So these two were the ones I used as the principal images in the YouTube thumbnail. So they'll probably find their way in. And I might also just use some flat color because I always like to do that too. So, all right, so I'm not sure what it's going to be, but we will find out in a moment as it evolves. My favorite knife out. Do you guys have like your favorite tools? Are you like super attached to things the way I am? Like I have like half a dozen of different sorts of this Olfa knife, but it's always this one that I'm looking for. I always go like skim over, like I bought this one at some point. I hardly ever use it unless I can't find this one. We have some older ones of this, which I only use if I can't find this one. I'm pretty pathetic that way. All right, just gonna grab a little bit of paper. In fact, a bunch of my collage materials are still in the car from the weekend. They haven't even been unloaded. It's not like I'm going to run short, though, because I have, as you imagine, I teach, I make collages, I have a lot of materials, so there's no shortage. I could have a carload of materials that I don't have access to and still have plenty. So this package is open. That's good. I'll use that. And I'm not even sure what I'm going to do. I think I may have said that. Not sure, but that is my. You got to start somewhere, right? I'll just check comments and. Lindsay says, I'm going by feel. I have a stack of flyers and also a beautiful Bruce Trail magazine. Ooh, yeah, so you have lots of lovely natural images in there. So I can get some nature images in my happy place. That's awesome. And a cup of coffee. Important supplies. Yes, mine's just out of camera there, but it's actually too full. That's why I'm not quite firing on all cylinders yet, but get some more of that. Yeah. I always joke that no coffee, no art, or anything else. Like no coffee, no art instruction. No coffee, no productivity. I know that really it's once you're sort of acclimatized to it, it doesn't. It has sort of, you just sort of have it, and it sort of gets you up to what you would be normally. But I am hopelessly addicted, so, and I really enjoy it too. So I think like anything, the first bit of the first one is the best, right? Like if you're a coffee drinker, the first few sips of the first coffee of the day, that is that's heaven, right? But same thing with any kind of food you like when you haven't had it for a while and you have those first few bites. It's just like, oh yeah, I've been missing this, right? So. I think I'm going to try to not be too literal. I mean, famous last words. But I'm going to just try to just riff, I think. Like I just had this idea, like, what if somehow we had like a planet that was maybe escaping the fire rather than being consumed by it. That would be awesome if we kind of like got it to that point. So I'm just going to make this super quickie, and then we'll see where we go from there as far as anything else. I'm just cutting some sort of ad-libbed flame shapes out of this image of flames, thinking that might be kind of fun. And I'm wondering why I can't focus. It's because I've got still have my computer glasses on, which are awesome, but they don't work for the close-up stuff. So now I can actually see what I'm doing. That's always good. It always takes me, like if I have my computer glasses on and then I switch to working on my desk, inevitably it takes me like a few minutes of like, why am I like straining to push my head further away from the work? And I'm sure I used to be able to see this stuff. I must be my eyes must be really getting bad. And then I realize, all right, on glasses. At least it's an easy fix. What I'm doing now is I'm hoping that I'm not going to end up cutting the wrong pieces. You know how that can happen, right? We'll see. Because I haven't really planned it out, I'm just ad-libbing. It's could work, could not, might not. All right, so Mia asks, does the X-Acto knife have a name? Can you put it up close so I could snap a photo? Thanks. Yeah, I'll do that in a second. And Rebecca, hey, hi, how are you? Awesome to have you along. And Joanne, sorry. Hey, Joanne, great to have you along. So it does have a name. The brand is Olfa, but it doesn't actually, this one doesn't really have a logo on it very much. It must be small, but it is OLFA, and it's a Swedish, I think it's Swedish company, and they make really nice craft knives. So they have a whole bunch of different styles. This one has a better logo on it, so maybe you can see it there. Come on, focus on it. I move my hand to it. The camera's struggling a little bit there. I think that's got it. So yeah, something that they also make good blades, right? And that's the most important part, right? So like sometimes when Kim and I teach, we have a whole bunch of dollar store knives, but we put good Olfa blades in them so that students have a good cutting experience. Even though the knife is cheap, the blade is good. So. You're welcome, Mia. And Joanne, great to have you along. How are you? It's been a while. You're also up northish, right? So did you get clobbered with snow too? It's remarkable, actually, how many people now have got outside of Toronto. Or GTA. That's great. I love it. I'm just looking at my flames, and they're looking almost sort of plant-like. Oh well. I'm losing track of my positive negatives. I'm gonna have to, but that's all right. You know what I think I might do with this is I'm cutting out these other shapes that also have sort of flame-like feelings, and so maybe I'll glue some of those back in to sort of make it a little more interesting. So, um, sorry, I'm just at a loss for words. Classic. Um, more coffee is obviously needed. Um, are you guys getting? When do you guys start getting really ramped up for Christmas, or do you? Um, Kim and I do a pretty minimal amount now. We used to be really do a lot at Christmas, but both my parents are passed, and some of my family is they sort of do their own thing. So we do Christmas with Kim's mom, but it's still pretty low key. We make a nice dinner. Um, Last year we made prime rib. And this is weird. I think we're going to do a capon, and so that's fun. I like looking up a few new recipes to try to try each time. So, um, but it's often fairly traditional, and we don't go nuts with the gifts. We exchange a few gifts, but nothing crazy. So, how about you guys? I know some people do very have a lot of people. That's when it gets really you have to be organized, right? When you're having Christmas dinner with 12 people or more. Um, and Rebecca, are you finished your first Christmas now, or are you in the middle of it? Um, Rebecca was doing Christmas with her husband's. It just occurred to me. I'm not sure that it's husband or boyfriend of long standing. Anyway, her partner's family. They were doing it early, so she's going to have two Christmases, um, which makes hopefully it makes it more fun rather than just more work. I mean, it's more work too, right? But hopefully it's also fun. I know that flames have lots of different shapes, and but it's really sort of hard to make them convincing. So um, I'm not I'm not sure how convincing this is. It's looking more like a well, the color helps, right? So, but oh well. And I know that my hand, unless I'm like really careful, my hand tends to do sort of the same waves with, unless I'm really trying to be conscious of not doing that. And even then, I think I do the same thing too much. So, That's negative. Trying to remember that. Yeah, take it out. That way I'll remember, sort of, maybe. And so this is something I'm kind of enjoying. Is I'm not following the flames in the photograph. I'm sort of cutting my own flame shapes, but out of a fire image. So I think that's hopefully it's gonna be able to work out reasonably well. But it makes it a little more interesting, I think. Obviously, didn't finish it before the image ended there, so I'll just cut that, recut that so I don't have a white tip. And yeah, so I think that's all right. Now that I see it on black. Glue that down, and then I might throw in a few of those other ones. Oh, this is going to be a gluing challenge because it's very delicate, so I will try to treat it with some care and caution. What often happens with these kinds of shapes, unless you're careful, is you can end up scrunching them with the glue stick. And even then, sometimes what happens is I'm gluing along and then the glue stick hits one of the sharp edges and it shaves a big chunk of glue off, and then I end up with this big glob of glue. I call it cheese slicing, but but it's just like something I have to watch out for. Let's see any here. Oh, super big ones anyway. That's good. Oh, and I just had a fun idea, which was to cut a few shapes, like flame shapes, into the black so that the black bottom edge isn't really quite as harsh as it is. We'll see whether I'll, excuse me, we'll see whether I try that or not. I have the feeling that something I did, I just remembered this. I think somewhere I have in my, I'll check my my color drawers. I think I may have like a part of a world image, like an image of the Earth from space. So I'm going to see whether I've got anything that I could maybe do part this and part that. And I know I haven't checked up on comments. I'll do that in a few minutes, couple minutes. Oh, now I'm thinking, oh, I should have cut some flame shapes out of this refinery image. But maybe that's the next idea. So I think that actually might be kind of cool. And I could use, like, I still have part of this one, so I could maybe intermix them. That might be kind of fun. So because I do these collage jams over and over again, you'll hear me say that some of the same things over and over again. But I think that thing that just happened there, like, oh, I should have done this, I could have tried that, it wouldn't have occurred to me unless I had just dove in and started, right? So I think that's kind of really important to just start doing. You look at it, you think about it as you're doing it. You know, when I started, I really didn't have much more than kind of like just a hint of an idea. But because I'm working with it, I feel like my ideas start happening as a result of that. So I think that there's this thing that we, especially as digital, as our world becomes more and more digital, that we have to be careful about, is that when we use our hands, I think there's this strong connection back to our brain that, for millennia, we've used our hands to make things, to do things. And so there's this very rich connection between our brains and our hands. So when we work digitally, of course, we move our fingers and we like either using a mouse or a keyboard or our phones, but I think it's really not the same, and that comes at a cost, right? So, and you're listening to someone who has done a lot of digital things, and I do love a bunch of the aspects of digital that are just, they're amazing, that you could not do without it. But is it? It's just this case of sort of being aware, I think, being aware of like what's gained, what's lost, maybe nurturing the things the sort of manual skills so that you don't lose them, so that you benefit from what's good about them. Even though there are, I don't even know where that sentence was going either. Cat is a bit tired. All right, I'll check in with your comments, have a little coffee. Okay, husband. I wasn't sure, Rebecca, thanks. Christmas is done now. It was nice but short. Well, and actually short is probably a good thing, right? So you've definitely got a head start on the rest of us to get in the spirit, so that's awesome. Lindsay says she prepared some paper folded into cards as the base for her collage today. So this might be a start of my Christmas. Oh yeah, that's awesome. If they come out as appropriate for Christmas cards, that's perfect. That's awesome. Mia says, found Olfa at the Home Depot site. It's always good to learn about reliable art tools. Yes, I totally agree. And then on the Christmas front, she says, Christmas is minimal at our house, sort of like ours and Kim's. Simple dinner and happy holiday calls to family and friends. That's awesome. John, how are you? I'm so glad you're here. So John Ming Mark has joined us. John, is this the first time you've joined us for the Collage Jam? If it is, welcome. It's really great. Where were my mind is so terrible. Where were we talking recently? It was awesome. Oh, it was the Japanese paper place. Yeah. So welcome along. Hope you enjoy it. Great to have you here. Lindsay says, I have a larger Olfa box cutter and it's easier to grip on my hands if that's helpful. Yeah, they have, like these are, Kim and I sort of categorize these as craft knives, although I don't know what Olfa calls them. But yeah, they have a big chunky one that you need pliers to snap the blades with. And they're good too. We have a few of those in our toolbox, like for when we're doing like heavier duty stuff. So yeah. And John says yes, it's his first. So welcome aboard. Then we have two first time joiners. So that's awesome. Welcome, guys. So that's, my heart is happy to have you guys along. kind of feel like I should, what I want up into the black area is, just, how like occasionally you get this one like little lick of a flame out into in the middle of nowhere. I think we need just a few of those sort of just going up like that. And I definitely have a few of those kinds of pieces here, so. And I kind of feel like a couple more pieces layered on top will also make it. It's kind of like what I'm striving for with this is it doesn't have to be realistic, but does it tell something that's interesting about fire and the way fire behaves, and is it artistically interesting too, right? So that's plenty. That's probably more than I'm capable of in one go, but. But unless we shoot high, we don't. We might not. You have to aim high, right? So. I'm not sure whether it makes sense to have some little white pieces showing through, but I'm going to try it. Of course, my black piece is like super thick, so see whether I get through. There we go. I'm not at all convinced it's the right thing, but I figure why not try it, right? What's the worst thing? It's paper. The reason I wanted to try it is when we're working with so much of our artwork is contained within an exterior shape. Now, collage, sometimes if you're working on a larger white sheet, you can have a nice irregular edge, which I really love. But this one, the first thing I laid down was this rectangle of black, so I thought maybe I'll just interfere with it a little bit at the bottom. I can always paste over it if it doesn't, if I really don't like it. So. Now I know there probably aren't. Well, yeah, there probably are white flames, but they're not regular. Let's put it that way. You don't usually see them, but why not? Let's see. I actually feel like that's added something to it. It's definitely added something to it, but beneficial is what I meant. So, yeah, probably don't need a lot more than that, but Just one or two more. I can always do more later, but I think for now, just a few. Anytime we do something, we think, oh, okay, that's working, that's cool. There's always the temptation to do a lot more rather than stop and just like we kind of think, well, if one is good, more has got to be better, right? So sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not. So I'm gonna leave it with fewer pieces for now, and I'm gonna look for that. I'm gonna look for the earth after a little more coffee. And we'll see if I've got that. I think it's going to be either in my blue drawer or in my green drawer. And who knows, I may find some other things I find interesting too. So, oh, like here's something I probably won't use this, but I had this swatch book from a system called Hexachrome, which was a printing system that didn't catch on using 6 colors rather than 4. So I just took it apart and put them in my color drawers, but that's going to find its way into some kind of collage at some point. Isn't that cool? And I have like, a few hundred of those. So it's awesome. No planet yet. Oh, well, sometimes I misremember. I kind of think it would have been in the blue drawer more than the green drawer, but I'll check. I'm also just finding some things that are interesting that might find their way in anyway. So that's still a win, right? So. So let's see. I'm seeing things from earlier in the pandemic when I printed out a bunch of stuff like this, images of the COVID virus, and wow, what a few years it's been, eh? Yep. I guess I used all my planets. So for my Earths, I could have printed one, but I think it'll be more interesting to just see what I can do with what I got. So. I also thought, oh, wouldn't it be interesting to do like, I don't know, like blue flames? That may be getting too far off the theme, but it's another thought that occurred to me. So, right. Right, so I'm gonna feel like this planet, this sort of seedling planet, is maybe not quite reading quite enough as planet, but I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe it should have like a non-plant, non-seedling, but brighter side. All right, I better cut it the same size or it'll not work out. I mean, that somehow feels a bit more planetary to me for some reason. So I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to go with that, and then probably move on to another thing. Although I'm thinking maybe I'm going to try, before I glue this down, I'll glue something blue back here, like dark blue. So if it's not dark enough, it won't feel space, looks like space. So I'll see whether I got it. I just felt like one additional subtle difference in this black background might work, and I'll try it and see if it does, and if not, then I'll skip it. So this is like a navy blue, but like colored paper, but it still feels too light. I'm gonna see if I've got like a really, really dark blue. Yeah, this is a small piece, but maybe more like that is what I was thinking. Oh, darker blue. No, it's the same one. It just looked darker in the drawer. Oh, I will check in with comments in a minute or two. See what you guys are talking about. I'm actually surprised I can't find like a blue-black painted piece, because I can imagine having done that. But all right, so we'll see whether this actually works or not. The angularity of it's kind of weird. So I'm going to see whether just like tearing this is going to give it the feeling I want. And if it doesn't, I'll just go without it. Hmm. I think there's something it just needs to be just the black. So tried it, didn't work, fine. And once I get that slapped down, I'll check in with you guys. And now that you've been working for a while, and if you have a moment, let us know what ideas you're playing with, what kind of materials, what kind of imagery. This piece here is a piece that I can't remember whether Kim or I did it in like a texture making workshop that Kim did, that I took. So where we were using acrylic paint and rollers and making different kinds of tools to create painted textures. And so this has like lime green, blue green, sort of a more purple blue, and it's I don't know, it just feels like felt like the right thing for this, and it's a little unexpected, right? Because the rest is sort of photographic material, and having something that is painted in the mix, I think, is helpful. I changed the orientation, so it's a little wonky, but I think that's fine. So it shows it's handmade, right? That's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. All right, so done for now, anyway. And I'll move on, try something else. Before that, check in with you guys. Annie, hey Annie. Sorry, Annie, you've been here for ages, I'm sure, but I'm just seeing you now, so welcome aboard. Thought it started at 3. Oh no. Well, you're still here for the rest of it, which is awesome. Mia says, I love those flames on the black background. Very ominous looking. Oh, thanks. Thank you. And he says, surgical precision cutting. Yeah, I don't know about that, but thank you. It may be not precision because I'm not actually matching anything super precisely, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Jane says, hey Kat, I'm just floundering around today, cleaning up my space, but finishing some stuff, starting new stuff as my head swims with ideas and I become inert. Does anyone else ever get like that? I'm sure people have chimed in, but I think every creative person experiences that, right? You don't have any idea, then you have too many ideas, then you don't know which one to pursue. Yeah, getting sort of clarity is something that I think we all struggle with. So I'll just put this there because I realize it's better to look at something than nothing while I yak. So yeah, I think we all get there. So you might want to do a little sorting and then clear a little space on your desk and pick, even arbitrarily, one of the things, right? And just say, they're all valid choices. I'm just going to arbitrarily pick one and work with that. So Mia says, yes, Annie, my arthritic hands are challenged just looking at Kat's amazing skill. Oh, so of course, it's so much harder when our hands don't do what we want them to do. But it actually, I strongly believe that every challenge of ours is also an opportunity. There are many challenges like arthritic hands that I wouldn't wish on anyone, but given that there are, you can say, okay, well, my hands won't cut the way I want them to, but they do cut the way that I do. So the way I cut is going to be part of the way my artwork is going to look, right? So you also might choose not to do kinds of pieces that that require super fine motor skill. There are collage after collage after collage that don't, right? It's just like there are artists who use like hyper sharpened pencils and magnifying glasses to do insane detail, and then there are people who use big house painting brushes to do very gestural stuff, and everything in between too, right? So of course, it's annoying if you want to do one, but your hands will only do the other. I understand that, but there are always like we can find assets in our challenges. So, um, I was all the first artwork of Matisse that I ever was really aware of, because I didn't have an art background, I had a design background, were his paper cuts that he did late in life. His eyesight was failing, right? So he had his assistant paint paper in like strong basic colors. And then he used big scissors to cut big crisp shapes that he could see, and then he composed with those. And those works were amazing, right? Because while he didn't have the eyesight to do what Matisse did when he was younger, his brain and his heart and his soul was still Matisse. So when he was working in this very different style, they were still amazing, right? They were very completely different, but still amazing. So um, Rebecca says, have to leave early. Thanks, Kat. She's probably already left, but if you haven't, Rebecca, thanks for stopping by. That was awesome. Happy early Christmas to you and Kim. Thank you very much. And Annie says, hi, Mia. I find compression gloves really help. That's a great idea. Yeah, for sure. I like keeping it supported, keeping it warm. Those are two very good things. So yeah, thank you, Annie. That's great. Mia says, yes, Jane, I get that way more often. So talking about the sort of log jam in our brain, I get that way more often than I would like. I call it brain fog or hamster cage brain when the thoughts start racing. So yeah, we have the fog when we can't really find the edges of our thoughts, and then we have the hamster wheel when things are just whirring. Yeah, sometimes you need to like close your eyes and breathe, or leave the premises for a little walk, right? Clear your mind. So many good things. So, and Lindsay was responding to the swatches. Yeah, they're awesome. I agree. Joanne said, I'm not north enough. We are close to the lakes, so not much yet. Well, just as well, right? But hopefully, I don't know if you look forward to the snow or whether you want to avoid it, but I hope you get what you want. Mia says, thank you, Annie. I just bought some by MKO. Awesome. Hope they'll help me as I overuse my hands, and then I have to get prolozone injections, yeah, into the wrist. Thank you for your suggestion. Yeah, it's good if we can help each other, but yeah, it's as artists, we want to make stuff, right? Kim has some issues with her hands. She has a trigger finger, and she's had like a cortisone shot that has helped. But rest is great for our hands, but it's not great for us, right? So it's this balance. So Mia says, what beautiful explanations of facing up to our limitations and forging ahead. Oh, I'm glad, Mia, because yeah, I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but there are always opportunities if we can see them. So all right, I'm gonna sort of do the next idea that I had, which was my collage bomb has gone off, but it's not too bad. But I have to find that refinery shot that I did. There it is. And I'm going to cut flame shapes out of this, I think. And then maybe sort of merge them into this one. But I also want to put a positive spin on it. But first things first, right? I'll put that in the back of my mind. And And then maybe I can find a way to do that, a way that, or I may do like, I could do a negative and a positive. I'm also just noticing this out of my peripheral vision and noticing they're not the same, but there are similarities between like flame shapes and plant shapes, like plant leaf shapes. So isn't that interesting? So there might be something I can find useful there. And I just grabbed this one that has the hole in it, and I was thinking, oh, that's interesting, right? It's always good to just play a little bit and see what thoughts come to mind. I just had a thought. So I started cutting out flame shapes out of this, right? Just like I was before. And then I started having trouble finding the edges. So I'm just going to cut them on the back side where I don't have the image, and then just let them fall where they may. This way I can concentrate on the flame shapes, and then we'll just see how they work with the image once I get there. So, sometimes it takes a while, but you have a good idea, right? So I think that is a good sort of technique idea. And it's burring a little bit, like it's catching on the paper a little bit. So I'm wondering but it does still feel sharp. So, but if I notice that continuing, I'll snap it off and start again. So one thing I am going to do proactively is cut the bottom. I have to extricate a ruler from the pile here. Cut off the bottom edge so I don't end up cutting flames out of the area that's not image. And I should probably do that across the top too. So yeah, that's going to help. Back to the backside. And I know it's less interesting to watch because it's white, but it is going to make what I'm doing a lot easier. So, all right, so it's flame. So this is flame up here too. And say I can't do that. It sort of finds its way. That's negative. Not quite cut out negative. Go. And so that's a flame. This is a negative. That's negative. That's a flame too. So maybe that'll start somewhere down here and wind its way up. And that's going to be a long negative point. Maybe I'll do a couple of flames in there. Maybe different directions. I'm not being it's funny. I like the last time I was being way more careful. This time I'm being way too cavalier. Oh well. So in this one I'm gonna need to layer on more scrap pieces, but that's fine. there is so often a plan B, right? So which is a good thing given what's going on here with my flames. I'm going to cut it here just so I can get this negative out of there. And I'm just looking at the negative that I just cut out, and that may come in handy too. Maybe I'll layer my negatives and my positives. Lindsay, how are your Christmas cards coming? And is anyone else working on something other than the climate crisis? And if you are, let us know how it's going. And if you are working on the climate crisis theme, let us know how that's going. Oh, I'm glad, Lindsay. Lindsay says that hearing me try to articulate my process as I go along um, is helpful, so that's good. Yay. Mia says, I think I lost you. I hope not, Mia. I think we're good still, but maybe you're having a little internet burp. Hopefully that's all it is and you come back. Lindsay says, mine are not looking so Christmassy. The climate crisis is taking over. Oh no. Wow, Valerie's completed 2 climate themed collages already. Awesome. And Mia says, refreshed and you're back. That's awesome. Yay. Welcome back. Yeah, I, I'm certainly not immune to having internet issues myself. I've had to restart the Collage Jam a couple of times in the past, but so far, knock wood, we're doing all right, I think so. I was just thinking about what you said, Lindsay, and regulars have probably heard what I'm me trying to articulate what I'm thinking as I go along. So many times they're sick of it, but it's new to you, so that's awesome. um, it changes a little bit from time to time, of course, but depending on what I'm working on. Um, but there is a bunch of it is basic creative thoughts and thinking about creativity. So, which I find really interesting, which is of course a good thing if I'm teaching. So. Oh, these are looking more like water than flames, guys. Oh well. that said, like flames and water do have similarities. So, like fire has, like, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I think it's pretty basic human, as long as the fire is under control, right? It's like our campfire or fire in our fireplace. Just watching the fire it's mesmeric, right? Because it has patterns, but it also has irregularities. It has it has beautiful movement that does have a lot of similarities to the way like flowing water does. Um, and it has that, it has warmth, it has that, and it happens, so it's changing constantly, right? Like the colors, you and it happens, and it moves and changes so quickly, you can't focus on anything. So um, so it's more of an impression rather than of the whole, rather than, oh, look at that beautiful flame, because that beautiful flame you'll probably only see if you photograph it to stop it, right? um, you can tell that I just had a little moment when I needed to figure something out, because suddenly I went very quiet. Sorry about that. um, I was having trouble figuring out negative, positive. Where was I? And ultimately, it doesn't matter if it's paper, and ultimately, it doesn't matter because I can always add more layers in. But um, this is like one very large negative coming out. Oh, that's kind of fun. Like, look at the, before we even flip them over, look at that. There's something kind of cool about that. Definitely feels watery, doesn't it? Anyway, there's the refinery. And oh, these are so cool. There's something cool about getting glimpses of this very man-made kind of thing. So with through this, and there's there's a couple of things that occur to me here, and this is why um, launching in and just seeing what happens is great for art, right? So I need a piece of white paper to point these out a bit better. So, like, this is like fire at the refinery, right? Which, you know, that's it actually, that's pretty good. I like that. I'm surprised how much I like that. But then I had this other conceptual idea just seeing this, which was, um, what if with this one, right? We can still see some of the refinery, but there's a lot of this sort of flame-like shapes taking over, right? So what if this was um, like some kind of natural thing, right? It could be, instead of using flames, um, I could actually cut vine-like shapes, leaf-like shapes, so that's like it's overgrowing it. But it also, then be kind of cool if we saw natural things through this, that like that they're engulfing this refinery, this abomination, this thing that's causing so much environmental toll. It's being consumed by nature again, and that's kind of cool, right? Because we see flame-like shapes, but it's actually not flame. Like, I don't really have the right images right at hand, but and it would have to be the right thing so we'd still read the flames. It maybe it's something like this, it doesn't work so well, but going looking for something that does work, it would have to have the right degree of contrast, not too much detail, or the details are finer, but there's like this really interesting potential that I wouldn't have seen unless I just like launched in, tried some things, and then started seeing them coming, right? So, this is imperfect, but it's kind of like this idea, right? Like, wouldn't it be like I could, for instance, cut out most of this leaf so that I could bring it in front of some of this, and we've got a nice scale change too. Sorry, now my thoughts are coming fast, so I'm not even completing my sentences. But yeah, so there are a bunch of things that have ideas. Like, so often we think that that we have to have the concept and then we execute it. Sometimes just starting with the faintest whiff of an idea working, and then ideas start suggesting themselves from what we've made that we couldn't have anticipated. And that right there is why doing is as important as thinking. So yeah. So I have just I see we're almost at 3:30 already. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut a couple of things on this one just to try a little test thing, and then I'll take a look at your comments. We'll wrap up, and I look forward to seeing what you guys cook up on Facebook. Because of my because of my workshop this weekend, I haven't had a chance to check out your stuff on the Facebook page today, so I'll do that this evening or tomorrow morning. Because I always love to see what you guys come up with. So, but yeah, I'm just juggling a few balls, so bear with me. I'll get there, and maybe some of you guys will have posted from today already, and I'll get a look at some pieces from last session. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to cut out not entirely, I'm going to leave it still sort of rooted, as it were, in the image that I'm cutting it out of. So just so that I can change the overlap with the leaves, and then I'm also going to cut out the white areas so we don't see those. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of experimenting. And that's so many things I love about collage. Another thing I love about collage is that you can try things without gluing them down, and if you really like it, yeah, great, glue it down. If you think, yeah, that wasn't what I was hoping, it was as good as I hoped, so you can be like, okay, well, I won't glue it down then. So that's just one of the best things about collage. And so what I'm doing here is something that I want to just try it to see how it looks, how it behaves, if I think it's got potential. and I can pursue it if I think it does, and not if I don't. Sorry, get my big head in the way there. Sorry about that. So I actually need a bigger piece of paper to try this properly, but to sort of see its potential or not. But do it as a drive-by right now. And that was this idea, kind of like intertwining them a little bit. So that we sort of see more of the connection, that visual connection that I was noticing between the nature of leaf shapes and the nature of flame shapes. And so that's, right there, that's kind of something that is, it's just like a drive-by test, but there's something really interesting there. It could have additional stuff, but it also could, like, I kind of think this has almost enough as it is to be interesting. So I might like put a few sort of loose flame pieces over here, maybe, and I might put something down here, but I also kind of like that. So sometimes it's about knowing whether it's a good enough idea and more pieces is going to complicate it more than it needs to be or not. And this one, like, I'm looking at it and thinking, these white flames are cool. So what I might do is just cut the occasional white flame out of this image over here to sort of echo it, which isn't adding another, it's not adding another piece of collage. It's just doing something to connect this one to this one. So I think that's probably what I'll do next, but that makes me interested and excited and surprised, right? So starting with one that was more predictable, right? Coming to, from this sort of flame pattern to this, which I still like this. This is going to find its way into another collage. And then this negative piece, playing with that. And I'm probably tomorrow I'll be less keen on it, but I really am. Right now I'm keen on that conceptually and visually. So, yay! All right, so it's 3:30 right on the dot. So that's a good spot for me to stop. But I will. What I'm going to do is switch to the camera. I'll just sign off, but I'll also read some of your comments before we sign off, and there we go. Awesome. So Annie says, enjoying the creative inspiration to help me get some sketches done. I am behind. Awesome. Of course, we're almost at the end, but I'd be curious what you're sketching on, Annie. So you've got another project on the go. I know you do a lot of sketching, which is great. Great way to think. Mia says, same here, Annie, in terms of working on something, getting sketches done. Annie says, wow, love that cat. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, thank you. Jane says, that looks great, Kat. What you're doing now, I love. Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. So cool. Mia says, love, love, love your flames, Kat. Maybe nature is fighting back. Exactly. I feel like as a human, I need to think about these things, address them, but I give into despondency too easily. So I feel like I need to, as an artist and as a human, fight back with positivity, right? So, and not just ersatz positivity, but So working on an image like the one I did today, where there is um, there's some hope and some thinking about like, okay, what do we need to do to solve this problem? I'm not saying I have the solutions, but I might be able to make some visuals that address, that sort of inspire that, or think, so yeah, yeah, thank you. Um, Annie says, I wonder if greens on top would be more hopeful as it recovers, and greens on the bottom back would be more negative. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And that's why I kind of brought this green in front. But yeah, I could bring, I could like find an image that has a whole bunch of like maybe grass leaves or vines and then try superimposing that as well. This is the thing, like one it's I really only started with a couple of images, sort of negative, positive. um, I like negative, positive. Well, I'm dealing with actual negatives and positives, but negative, like negative and then the like problem and solution kind of images, and they just roll, right? Because you start thinking and start seeing interactions, and there are so many possibilities, one begets the other. So um, Mia says, love your thinking. Thank you. I also love having the greens on different plane from the flames. I agree. I agree. Mia says, thank you, Kat, and everyone for a lovely afternoon collage get together. All the best. And if you're still there, Mia, you made it all the way through. So I hope you're feeling better soon. Yeah. And we'll see you next week if you're still here. Lindsay says, the earth has everything she needs to take care of herself. Yeah, we just need to get out of the way and maybe we need to do less of the bad stuff that we're doing and maybe help her along a little bit. I agree, it's sort of a human foible to think that we can fix everything, but conversely, we do seem to have messed it up a lot. So I think it's fair to say that helping it along a little bit would be beneficial too. So yeah. So John says, thank you, Kat. Enjoyed watching you think and work. Oh, thank you, John. That was so great to have you along. And Lindsay says, yes, thanks, everyone. This was lovely. Yeah, lovely to have you along, Lindsay. I know you've got a lot of irons in the fire, so it's great that you could join us. I appreciate that. That's awesome. And he says, thanks, Kat. Hi to Kim. See you next time. Yes, Kim says hi to everyone. So thank you for joining us. And unusually, because we had a gap there, our next virtual collage jam is in 1 week's time, our last one. So the theme is snow globe. And so I think that's the 9th of, the 9th. So 1 week today at 2 p.m. Same that channel. And looking forward to seeing you guys here and on the Facebook group. So keep collaging, and thank you, Val, likewise. And we'll see you in a week. So thanks, guys. Take care. Oh, I hit the end stream. Let's try that again.